Hi there. I'm Professor Blackmore, and welcome back to my channel. And I'm coming back to you today to go back into some of the details of my episode covering the sexual exploits of so-called Apostle Demiro Johnson from the Greensboro, North Carolina's Church of the Apostolic Saints in my series entitled Pulpit Pedophiles. And I'm talking about this because this is happening more and more, and people need to be aware of how these pedophiles will take advantage and how you need to keep a close eye on your children. And don't think that any church or school or the homes of your relatives is a safe place, because there are no safe places when it comes to your children. And so, this mess with this so called apostle, Demiro Johnson, all first came to light sometime in August of 2022, specifically on August the 20th, 2022, when a mother discovered that her 15-year-old daughter was pregnant. Well, the daughter told her mother that the father of the baby was, guess who? That's right, Apostle Demiro Johnson. And at that time, the child was 15 years old and 22 weeks pregnant. But the child was only 14 years old when Demiro Johnson first had sex with the child. Now, I'm going to go over some of the facts of this case as they have come to my attention. And so you may be trying to understand how in the world Demiro Johnson is able to have access to this woman's daughter. And so the mother states that her 15-year-old daughter and her other children had attended Demiro Johnson's church since 2019, but that she, the mother, never attended the church. And so the mother said that her daughter told her that the first two times that Demiro Johnson had sex with her was around October 2021 at Johnson's apartment in Greensboro, North Carolina. Now, the mother's son, who is 17 years old, was an armor bearer for Demiro Johnson. And I'm beginning to see that this armor bearer, I'm going to do a little bit more research on all of that, but they seem to do a lot of protection. And it seems like this is a kind of wedge of how all of this madness goes on, because the armor bearers, this guy is using young armor bearers. He's seeking out, just trying to get parents to see how all of this is happening, seeking out armor bearers, young armor bearers in the church who have young sisters. I'm just, looking at how this all came to be. And so the mother's son, who is 17 years old, is an armor bearer for Demiro Johnson. And allegedly, due to the late hour of the church services on occasion, some individuals from the church would sleep over at Demiro Johnson's place overnight, and then they would go home the following day. And now, am I the only person who thinks that this is highly, highly, highly unusual? And so I just think that parents need to be looking out for all of these types of cues, things that are happening in the church, and just do not, by any stretch of the imagination, think that that the church is a safe place, because the pastors, what I'm finding out these days is that the pastors are developing relationships with your children. And so parents just need to be looking out for this, and as you will hear me say many, many, many times, they need to be in those text messages, those children's text messages. And so, if you know of anything like this going on at any church that you've heard of, drop a line in the comments section, because to me, this is a huge no. Okay. So, people need to understand, and please, I'm going to try to get through the facts of what's going on here, but please, if you don't, have time to stick in and come back later on and look at how this all was orchestrated. And I want to thank Caress you for encouraging words here on today's episode, because I do want to get this message out to parents, and I hope, Caress you, that you would share this with your friends as well. But let me stay focused on the issue at hand so I can tell you how this all went down. And so the 15-year-old told her mother that there came a time in October of 2021 when, and yes, Caress you, I'm gonna be talking about the church, the schools as well. That's what I have an episode out there, how a so-called pastor, took advantage of a child at school. So schools, your relatives, nobody, keep an eye on your children because these are some demonic individuals. Now, this all surfaced as per the child when she and her brother, okay, the armor bearer, okay, were over at Demiro Johnson's apartment in Greensboro, and Johnson told them this is how he did it. He told them that other children would be coming over to the apartment from the church to spend the night as well. And so Demiro Johnson allegedly told the 15-year-old that she and her brother could sleep in his room, and that other people that were coming over would sleep in his daughter's room, and some would sleep downstairs. Okay, so then the mother said that the daughter and son were in Johnson's room watching TV, but the other children who were supposed to come over to the apartment, guess what? They never showed up. Okay, and so if you can imagine, even if, because I'm just talking about me, if I had kids, they wouldn't be spending a night over. You can't spend a night in nobody's house these days. But if your child's coming to you and say, oh, other kids are going to be over there, no. That seems to me to be one of the sneaky ways that they are doing this. Okay. And so the mother said that her daughter said that Demiro Johnson told her and her brother that they didn't have to leave his room. Okay. Irrespective. Now, other kids are not coming over. The normal thing to do would be to call the parents and say, okay, the other children are not coming over, so go ahead and come on over and pick up your children. I mean, come on now. Okay, but no, because that was not his intent. His intent was to be sneaky and to try to take advantage of this child. And so the brother, okay, so they did not have to leave his room, and that they could stand there with him. Okay, so then after the son, the armor bearer, fell asleep, she said that her daughter told her that Demiro Johnson put his arms around her and asked her if she was comfortable. Okay, the mother said that her daughter told her that Demiro Johnson allegedly asked the then 14-year-old if she was scared. Okay, I'm telling you, I'm I'm over 50 years old and I'm scared. So you asking a 14-year-old child if she's scared? I mean, the whole thing is just a travesty. But at any rate, so Demiro Johnson allegedly started rubbing his hands down the child's back and kissing her. The mother states that Demiro Johnson allegedly again asked the daughter if she was comfortable. And he also asked the child if she had ever let a man kiss her. Dirty lowdown. I'm going to try to, stay focused so that I can get through this. But after that, The mother states that her daughter answered by saying no, which I'm sure excited him even more. Okay. And so let me see if I can add some more facts to this. Let me. And so the mother stated that her daughter said that Demiro Johnson allegedly told her that he would take it slow with her and that he would get her comfortable. The mother said further that the child told her that she just sat there because she didn't know what to do. Okay. So I'm, I but at any rate, I mean, can you imagine if you were this child, how frightened you would be? And so the child told her mother that Demiro allegedly pulled her pants down, pulled her to the floor, and got on top of her and allegedly started penetrating the child. In addition, the mother stated that the child told Demiro Johnson that it hurt. Okay. But obviously, this was of no consequence to him because he just kept going and it was just, just, it's just, it's ridiculous. But the child told her mother that Demiro Johnson allegedly asked her if she wanted him to stop and that he would take it slow on her. But before she could say a word, he allegedly kept penetrating. And then the 14-year-old child kept penetrating the then 14-year-old child and started going slower. But at that point, after he started going slower for a little bit, the child said that it was over. So to me, this is just completely outrageous. But the mother also said that there was an incident when the child, when her son told her that Demiro Johnson, also was trying to develop some type of relationship with his ex-girlfriend who was 16 years old. And so, notwithstanding the particular young child stating to Demiro Johnson that he was too old for her, he just kept pursuing the child and kept trying to establish a sexual relationship with the child. And so, if you can imagine, here he is in a text message saying, "What you doing?" Okay. So the child does not respond. And so then he texts the child back. And now this is at 11:20 p.m. at night, parents. Okay. And so he texts the child back again and says, "Where you at?" And so 30 or 40 minutes later, at 12 o'clock a.m. in the morning, parents, the child texts back, "I keep telling you that you're too old." And then he texts back. Now, this is all at 12:43 a.m. He texts back, "No, I'm not." Like, damn, give me a chance. I'm stable. Got my own SHYT job. Hell, let me take care of you. So, as far as I'm concerned, this is just pathetic, a pathetic individual. So, uh, I'm just want to just bring this to parents' attention so you are aware of what's going on. I think the most important thing is you think that your child is asleep at night and they're in there texting, and you may think that they're texting young boys, but that's the least of your worries, because somehow what I'm finding out now is that the pastors have the ability to somehow get these children's telephone numbers. It's just outrageous. Now, during this same August 2022 time period, when the mother learned of these allegations from her daughter, members of the church are now telling her that Demiro Johnson is about to get married and that he traveled to Las Vegas and married a woman on August the 9th, 2022. And this particular woman's name is Chianne Craven. Okay. And so now we're going to hear from this woman in her own words a little bit more later on. And you'll want to make sure that you stick around for that. But I want to give you an idea of why we're here today. And we're here today because Demiro Johnson finds himself, and he popped up on my docket sheet of the ProfessorBlackmore.com courtroom, because on January the 5th, 2023, in his efforts to escape, and he tries to marry a woman to make it seem like, he's a married pastor. Now he tries to escape all of this, and he is found in Atlanta at the Hartsfield Atlanta Airport, which is where he is arrested. And what I think is astonishing is the fact that if you Google this case, you won't be able to find any news outlets in North Carolina or Georgia doing any reports on this case. But what I do know is if they arrested him at the Atlanta airport, that he was going to have an extradition hearing so they can extradite him back to the state of North Carolina. And so I was able to pull the docket sheet from this particular court proceeding and try to get an idea of what was going on, because I did not want to report on it if I had no way of being able to substantiate some of what was going on, because I'm hearing all of this scuttlebutt on social media, but there is no news reporting about it. There is no court information on it that I could find. And so this was the first opportunity that I had a chance to see whether this had any real facts that could be substantiated. And so I was able to pull the court docket sheet that substantiates all of this. And so during an extradition hearing, you can do only one of two things. The offender can either waive extradition or challenge the extradition. Now, if you waive the extradition, the requesting jurisdiction, in this case, North Carolina, will have a set period of time to take custody of that offender. And if they don't retrieve the offender within that set period of time, he can be released. But if you decide to challenge the extradition, you will have to pay the full amount in cash of the bail set by the judge in the arrest warrant in the requesting state, which is North Carolina here. So, for example, if the amount of bail requested in that North Carolina arrest warrant is $1 million, he would have had to have paid the whole $1 million in cash in Atlanta if he wanted to challenge the extradition. And so, well, obviously, he does not have $1 million. And so on January the 9th, as you can see here, he waived extradition. And it is my understanding that he has now been returned to the state of North Carolina. So now I want to take a look at the North Carolina information. And it is showing that and I actually spoke to officials at the Clayton County Detention Center in Georgia before I received the information about this written information here from North Carolina. And I called the detention center in Georgia, and they informed me that North Carolina did in fact, pick him up on January the 17th, 2023, and transferred him back to the Guilford County Jail in High Point, North Carolina. And so now, as you can see here, let me put it up here so that you can see what's going on in North Carolina. And so as far as North Carolina, he has 5 charges here. 4 charges here. 2 of them at the present time have bail set in the amount of $500,000 for a total of a secured bail in the amount of $1 million, which can be posted with a secured surety bail bond, which will cost him about $100,000. So if he, can come up with $100,000, he'll probably be able to get out of there. But I checked today and he's still in there. And so I'm pretty confident that criminal investigators must have been able to conduct a DNA test on that baby, the baby of the baby who had the baby, the 14-year-old girl had the baby. I believe that either one or two things happened, that the investigators had enough information to conduct a DNA test in order to have enough evidence to obtain an arrest warrant, or they had enough evidence to convince a judge that they need to arrest him in order to conduct the DNA test, because I really don't think that he voluntarily submitted to the DNA testing. But at this time, I don't have enough substantiated facts to say which of the two is true. And I don't know if investigators have actually been able to substantiate enough evidence to say that he is the father of the baby's baby. But I do know that a judge somewhere believed that there's enough evidence to establish that he had sex with the 14-year-old. So now that's going to bring us to a interview. I wouldn't say an interview, a Facebook Live event. I'm sorry, a Facebook Live event that Demiro did on his own Facebook page, which has since been deleted. And so we're going to take a look at what he has to say at this particular point in time. Now, this took place before he was arrested at the Hartsfield Atlanta Airport. And so let's see if we can get a flavor for what he had to say for himself at that particular time. So let's check it out.
And good evening, good afternoon, and good evening. I am not going to be before here long, but I am going to get on here very briefly, and I'm going to say what I have to say, and I'm going to log off. I know that several of you all are going to come and want to be nosy and run back and report and tell everything, which, hey, it's all fine. It's all dandy. This live is not to be catty. It's not to be, it's not to try to pinpoint nothing out. It's not to even go in details about anything. This status is number one, or this live number one is to number one, say that I'm very thankful for all of the ones that have been praying for me. I know I have some that really have my back and really have my corner, and I want to just say thank you. I know that everybody does not have my back. I know that everybody is not in my corner. Thank you so much, Marshall Slade. I know that everybody is not in my corner. I know that people that I thought had my back and people I thought was in my corner, people I thought was friends, people I thought was family, have turned on me. And let's just be honest. Hey, that's something serious. It's something that, it would make people question. Hey, Kia, how are you? It would make people question. Thank you so much, Bishop Timothy Ratliff. It's something that it would make people question. Let's just call a spade a spade. It is something that it would make people question. I've seen a lot of the posts. I've seen a lot of the shares. I've heard a lot of the comments. I've seen a lot of the comments. I've seen the bloggers live and all this. But my job is, I'm not getting on here for all of that. I'm getting on here to say this, okay? Number one, I'm thankful for everybody that's praying for me. Not P-R-E-Y, not praying for my failure. Not praying for my demise, but praying for me. Not the apostle, not the pastor, not the prophet. This ain't got nothing to do with my title. This has to do with me as a human being, as Demiro. I wasn't going to do this because I know people, immature people would take this and say, oh, child, what he got to say, what he got to talk about, child, let's log on real quick, tag this person, text that person, let them know he's on. Let me tell you, half of you now, I care less, okay? I'm just going to be honest. I care less about it, okay? My whole thing is I come on here to tell people that I'm thankful for you praying for me. I come on here to tell people that God is still yet God. God is still yet God. A lot of people think that I've cut you off. I haven't cut a lot of people off. I've just been very quiet. I shut my Facebook down. Some people thought that I defriended them or befriended them. I didn't befriend a lot of people. I deactivated my page. That's all that was. I deactivated my page. Love you, Pastor Walker.
Now, that's just the first part of what he had to say. It's just a whole, I just thought that it was, instead of talking about how, people coming on there and doing this and doing that, I just thought, what you think that a pastor would come on if he's going to do something like this, that if he's not going to just say what he did, if he would just probably pray, talk about Jesus. But no, I mean, it was more about, people just want to tag and they want to come on. It was just very messy. But that was just a little bit of what he had to say. Now, here is the second part of some of the crazy. I just thought it was kind of crazy, some of the stuff he said, but you can let me know what you think. I'm going to just play it.
I miss my baby. There are a few people that I miss, that I love, that I know have my back. Just because I may not call names, because I'm quite sure that's what people are waiting for. Let's see what name he called. Let's see who he called, so then we can get in their inbox and try to see what kind of dirt we can get up on him. Hey, Sister Tamika Stone, how are you? Hey, Sheila Miller, how are you? Like I said, this live is not to be catty. It's not to be petty. It's not to be messy. It's not to try to pinpoint nobody or take the heat off of me. That's not what this live is about. Okay? A lot of people, let's just be honest, like I said before, a lot of people think this live is, he getting ready to tell his side of the story. He getting ready to tell. I'm still remaining quiet. Hey, son, how are you? I'm still remaining quiet. Thank you, Jared. I'm still remaining quiet. I'm still remaining quiet. I'm still remaining quiet. As bad as it hurt, I'm still remaining quiet. Have there been people praying for me? Yes. Has there been people checking up on me? Yes. Do everybody mean me good? No. I know that. So I'm not shocked. I'm not surprised. I'm not after a while, when you're so used to getting hurt, it becomes a numb feeling. One thing I learned is that when the enemy, thank you, cousin, when the enemy plays dirty, he fights unfair. Thank you, Bishop Porter. When the enemy fights dirty, he plays unfair. The enemy takes time and he watches you. He watches your every move. Hey, Hudson, thank you. The enemy watches your every move. He watches your weak moments. He knows your strong moments, your weak moments, your good moments, your bad moments. The enemy watches. And can I be honest? It is what it is. I'm still anointed. God has still called me. You can be the Pope. You can be the president. Everyone has had some type of proclivity. Everyone has had some type of issue. Everyone has had something to go on in their life. Everyone has had a secret somewhere. Everyone has done something. Everyone has. Everyone has. So I'm not getting on here to take the heat off of me. I'm not getting on here to put the blame on nobody, because guess what? When you do wrong, there's a price that you have to pay. That applies for me, President Latin, Biden, the Pope, anybody. There's a consequence for everything in life, good and bad. I said it. There is a consequence for everything in life, good or bad. If you do something bad, there's a consequence. If you do something good, there's a consequence, a good consequence, but it's still a consequence. There's an action for every action that we take in life. I know so many people have so many questions, and so many people have asked questions and had private conversations within other people and within themselves. And I know that several people have tried reaching out to me, and I've just been quiet. Doesn't mean I'm hiding. Doesn't mean I'm running. Doesn't mean I'm scared.
Okay, so I want to keep this up here from Miss Cynthia Bailey. Because, okay, first of all, I just want to understand, okay, how you still anointed with the devil. That's what you anointed with. But anyway, now when he started saying that's why I want to keep this comment up here. When he started saying things like everybody suffers from some type of proclivities, that there are consequences for your actions, that he was not doing this to take the heat off. I mean, to me, it just sounds guilty, guilty, guilty. When if you didn't do it, I mean, it just seems like a whole bunch of odd things to say if you actually didn't do it, and you could just say, I didn't do it. So I just, I just think that comment is right on the money. But y'all let me know what y'all think. I mean, it's just kind of odd to just say all of these things and just never get to the point of saying that you didn't do it. And so now Demiro Johnson's wife has also come forward to speak out. And in my opinion, she has a lot of the evidence that would go a long way towards convicting him when the time comes, when he gets in front of that judge and jury. I cannot see how they don't call her to testify, because all of the stuff that she has. I mean, she has all of the receipts. And so let's check this out and see if you can, so that you can let me know what you think. Now, I split this up into to try to chop it up into pieces, but she just has so much to say. So if you can't, stick in here, you come back later and watch the rebroadcast. But she just, I feel like she just has a lot of information. So let's check it out.
Craven. I live in Denver. Always have. I'm a single mother. I'm in school to be a dentist. I knew him for 4 months. So we met. He came out to Colorado for a conference that one of my friends were throwing that she booked him for. And I met him, and he was charming. He seemed genuine with me. And from that day we never stopped talking from April. When I met him, it was more of a this is a pastor. Like, first of all, I never messed with no pastor before, so I didn't know nothing about it. I'm newer to the church scene. People started sending me messages and screenshots and videos and cash apps and proof of stuff that I didn't know about. Every time I brought it up, it was, that's not me. That's not me. At first, yeah, I would believe him. I would be like, okay, yeah, I know people fake stuff. And, the situation that he had with the little girl's mom, that was I was in that situation too, the first situation. But me literally sitting there like oblivious, like, oh, I don't care what anybody says. I'm gonna just sit here and believe you because you're not gonna lie to me. You married me. You'll never lie to me. Like, if you're saying that they never been in your bed, they ain't never been in your bed. If you saying you never slept with men, you ain't never slept with men. If you saying that, these people lying on you because you're a pastor and they want your title, yeah, they lying. I'm with you. Whatever they say is a lie. That was me. I was like, who did you piss off to do this? Proof started coming out. It was still me being dumb because I'm like, no way, no way. Oh, you're sending me this? No way, no way. I was not gonna let anybody talk about him, and I was not gonna let anyone dog him because he was a good person to me. He was a good person. He cared. You know what I'm saying? Until I started getting the real facts, and he started showing me like his true colors of like the things how he really felt about me and the things he said to me recently. I'm like, okay, I didn't know anything about him being gay, like none of that. I've never known, nobody ever told me Demiro sleeping with another pastor. They just told me that in his past he used to like men and then he got delivered from it and he doesn't like men anymore. But they said that he told everybody that he told me this at the beginning of our relationship when I didn't know this until I was getting screenshots of cash apps for dick pics and ass pics. That's how I found out, and he ended up telling me, and I was like, you should have just told me that. Like, why I have to find that out through this article? Like, this is crazy. Like, this is crazy. All these men coming at me like, oh, I used to do this, do that. And, the scares, that scare and all this stuff. I'm like, okay, hold on. Because y'all, like, you could have told me this a long time ago. And all the people that I found out were like, oh, he told us, he been told you that. And I'm like, no, that's not how it happened.
Whoa. Okay. That's a lot. Okay. So from April to August, he's able to, and I want to bring this comment up here. From April to August, he's able to convince her to marry him. I mean, it seems to me he had a very good ability to lie and convince people into doing things. Now, when she says the situation with the little girl's mom, the first situation, she's talking about the first, because he has a daughter, a baby by the name of Brooklyn. And so it just kind of odd to me how she says she called it a situation. So I don't know why she would call it a situation. So it's making me wonder if that lady was also underage when he got her pregnant. So that's definitely something that I'm going to be looking back into. And what did she mean when she said that he should have just told her, that he could have told her a long time ago? Did she mean that she would have stayed with him? I mean, that was kind of odd. I don't know what that meant. I mean, when somebody comes to you, you didn't know, and they come to you, you get married to this person, they say that they used to like, men, but they've been delivered from it. I mean, really? You really think they delivered from that? So it to me is just too much. It's too much for me, honey child. But let's listen to the second part of the wife's testimony when she gets into more information about the text messages and the minor children. So let's take a look at that.
Somebody hacked into his iPad and sent around a whole bunch of stuff to a whole bunch of people. So they went through his iPad, and there was like a gang of, I think you said you got some, I got everything, the mom got everything. Like, there was screenshots of him talking to all these people, blah blah blah. So then he did have his phone here, and when I did get to the phone, it was like, let me bring it. It was like Google searches. I'm sorry so much. It's ridiculous. There were Google searches like abortion clinics near me. What else? There was porn with like men playing with themselves, and so stuff like that. It was like it was that kind of stuff. It was legal age of consent was on there. It was what to do when you're being accused of sleeping with a young kid. Like, it was Google searches. And then in the pictures, it was pictures of these girls that he's been accused with. And the other girls that was being sent around, it was pictures of them in there. It was screenshots of, like, some of the porn stuff. It was, I can just go to it and read. She said, "You mad at me?" He said, "No, not mad at all. You're probably not sexually active. Your pussy probably ain't even fat, LOL. I don't want to be rude and be like," no, I guess he said, hold on, because they're out of order. They sent them to me out of order. He had to say something like, "Your mom's not going to let you come outside," or something, because he ended up saying, "I didn't want to be rude and be like, look, I want to f*** your daughter." Then the girl said, "That would have been disrespectful as f-." He said, "LOL, but I want to eat you. But you ain't never had that done." She said, "No, because I'm a good child." He said, "Got you. Well, I'm trying to turn you into a little freak." So he deleted his text messages. So the only thing that I had access to was Snapchat, because he went through his phone, deleted all his texts. So on the Snap messages, there was a 16-year-old, and he was telling the 16-year-old, like, "Be mine," or whatever. She's like, "Now you know we can't date." And he's like, he sends her a screenshot of Google that says legal age of consent is 16, and he goes, "Actually, we can." And she's like, "My family's not going to let us date." And he's like, "Don't tell them till you're 18. That was one Snap thread. Also, like, he would tell her, like, "You're just so beautiful, and I just wish I could have you." There was another Snap thread with a dude where he was like, "I'm on prep and you're good," or whatever. And the dude's like, "Okay, I am too." Like, this was on Snapchat. There was other Snapchats of, like, pretty much some girl was like, "I thought I told you not to talk to me because I'm 15. And he was like, "Let me take care of you. Let me do everything I can do for you. Come to my house. Let me cook for you, clean for you, blah, 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 blah." So that was in the Snap. The Google searches, all that. But the text messages were deleted out his phone, but they weren't deleted out the iPad. So whoever got into the iPad sent around the text messages of the 14-year-old girl that was in middle school, that was saying, like, "I'm in middle school," and he was like, "Okay, let me come pick you up and let me bust it open," and blah 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 blah. And the girl that just had the kid, who he's telling like, oh, let's do round 2 or blah, 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 blah. And I got you, and you can come over here. Let's watch the movies and all this stuff. So, like, between the phone and the iPad, it was like the little girl, he was messaging the little girl, like, he would tell the little girl, like, what you doing? And she's like, babysitting. And he's like, can you come outside? And she's like, no, my mom ain't gonna let me come outside. And he's like, you playing. But, yeah, so he was basically telling her, let me come get you from school, take you home, you got rehearsal, tell your family you're not going to practice, and I'm going to come get you, blah, 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 blah. And so I asked him about that. That wasn't him. So I'm like, okay, cool.
And so I just want to say to parents now, I had, I think it was last night, I did an episode about another situation where there was a parent that was saying that, because she couldn't believe it when her daughter told her daughter went to spend the night over at another child's house, and the child showing her text messages from the pastor. So I'm just saying to parents, while your worst thought is that your child is texting at midnight with little boys, I'm telling you, the pastors are texting your children. So you need to get in them text messages and don't be shy. Don't let your child have no secrets, because they think, that they know what's going on, but these people are going to ruin these children's lives. So in addition to these items she received, she seems to have also checked his phone. So she's matching his phone, the wife here, with some of the information on the iPad, that iPad stuff that was sent to her. And so can you imagine if you found gay porn in the persons that you're married to, you find gay porn in his phone, Snapchats, text messages to young children, and that text message from that 16-year-old seems to match with that mother, whatever that mother was talking about when at the beginning of this live that I did, when I was talking to you about the mother of the 14-year-old. And so, I mean, it's a lot. And I wouldn't be surprised if we wouldn't see more charges coming out of this case once law enforcement officials learn about all of this. But I'm going to play the part of the wife's testimony. If you can believe she has more to say, but there is more. So let's check out just a little bit more of what she had to say about how all of the other stuff that she found out.
Whatever. No. I said that wrong. When I asked him about that, this was when he's already getting accused of all this stuff. I had already talked to the detective. The detective had contacted me, let me know, hey, there's no warrant, but he's under investigation and I can't talk. She told me she can't talk to me because I'm a person of interest. I think that was the word she used. Because we're married, so she couldn't talk to me about the case until she talked to everybody on the other side. Her exact words were, you're a person of interest because you guys are married. And even when I told her I was in the process of divorce, she was like, well, I can't speak to you until after, we test and do all this and do all that. So I was like, okay, cool. So I haven't talked to her. All this time has gone by. And she ended up calling me back. And she was like, well, I can talk to you briefly. We are looking for him to take a test once the baby's born. And if he's with you, that's a problem because that means you're hiding a fugitive at that point and you can go to jail. And I was like, I promise you he's not here. And I was like, if you need any information from me, I'm willing to talk to you because I'm not going down for that. So then, about 2 weeks ago, she let me know that, he contacted her and said he was willing to, no, not the detective, the mom. I guess he contacted the mom, said, let's take a DNA test while the girl's pregnant. And the mom's like, we're not finna interrupt her pregnancy because you want to do something weird. And they didn't do that. But now that the baby was born, the detective called me last weekend and was like, hello, the baby's been born. If you know where he is to take this test, let me know because we're trying to get this test done. And pretty much I let her know, I can tell you that he's not with me. He's in Georgia. but I don't know how to make him take no test. So he supposedly is saying that the family don't want him to take no test now, and that they found another person that's the dad of the kid, which I know is not true. I said, is there another person? You know, she's like, no, absolutely not. Yeah, so it went from never ever, that's my goddaughter, that didn't happen, to oh, you know, it could possibly be that, but anybody would have been in that situation if they were in my shoes. So pretty much like if, you know, if they were around her, any man that would be around her would have been stuck in that situation, would have had sex with her. And I asked, I'm like, any man I ask, would they have sex with a kid, would say no. Like, what man would be like, well, if I was horny and wanted some, I would definitely, no. It's not happening. Yeah, there was a couple of people that were like, you should make sure that you good and, you know, blah, 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 because, you know, he has it or he takes medicine or something. So I've been good testing, doing all that good stuff. But yeah, he told my dad, like, make sure your daughter gets tested and blah, 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 which is just like beyond crazy because if you don't have it, why would you say that to my dad? And then why would other people be saying it? And I did see he showed me his medical records, but it showed that he was negative chlamydia, gonorrhea, and trick, and that he was negative for having like a UTI or something. It didn't say what he tested for. They just didn't test him for it. But he showed me that to say, why would they say have HIV? I'm like, well, it don't say nothing about HIV on this paper. Because I got to go get tested constantly now just from allegations. I have yet to meet someone that says they have it from him, but I've heard people saying like, oh, my cousin said, or oh, my uncle said, and that's enough. That's all I need to hear. If we in the mall and somebody announces on the intercom, I'm finna shoot the mall up, I'm not going to sit there and wait. I'm outside, because I'm not going to be there when it happened. Getting the allegation that he had it made me go do what I did, and it was for more than one person, which also is crazy.
Okay, so she says that she is yet at this particular time at the time of this interview that she did to meet somebody who said that Demiro Johnson allegedly gave them HIV. Well, just stick around because she's gonna come, not face to face, but she's gonna hear and talk to somebody who actually says that he gave them HIV. But this in and of itself is to me a lot for one person. I mean, finding out allegedly about homosexuality that you didn't know about, in addition to the fact that you yourself, she's a mother of young children, and now she's finding out allegedly that her husband doesn't think there's anything wrong with grown men having sexual relations with young children. And then on top of that, then she finds out allegedly that the man is sleeping around with Lottie Dottie and everybody knowing that he has HIV, allegedly. So, Lordy have mercy. It's just too much for me. But even after all of this, you wouldn't believe that around the time that he put out that disgusting video, he posted that address, which has since been deleted. But if you think what he allegedly did to this child and this woman are as low down as he could get, well, I'll tell you to think again, because now we're going to hear from another person, a homosexual man, who says that he gave him HIV. So let's check that out.
October 2018. I'm basically went to High Point, met Demiro Johnson. We had sex, whatever. I came back home. Me and him kept in touch, talking every day. Nothing was out of the ordinary with me. He just basically was talking to me one minute, and then he ghosted me the next. After that, I just didn't pay no attention to it. We just stopped talking because I ended up going back into my relationship. But I never had sex with nobody besides Demiro. So I ended up getting my car January 2019. Right after that, I ended up getting put in the hospital with pneumonia. And it came back that I had HIV, and they asked me, did I know? And I told them that I didn't know because I've been tested previously back in September right after my birthday, and I was negative. So they was like, do you have any idea where it could have come from? I said, well, I only had sex with one person in the last 2-3 months, which was Demiro. So they was like, are you sure? I said, yes, ma'am. But I was like, are y'all sure that I'm positive? So when I basically went to the health department first. They told me I was positive. I went to the hospital. They told me I was positive. Then I made a doctor's appointment. They told me I was positive because I couldn't believe it. Like I was shocked to tell that I had HIV. So I kept asking him, and every time I would bring up the subject about it, he just kept pushing me off, yelling at me, fussing at me, saying it was him, saying that he had other things going on, that he had to focus on getting his church together and all this other weird shit. So I was like, okay, so if it's not you, then I just don't know where the fuck it came from. So I let this shit slide. I didn't say nothing about it. I didn't get angry about it. When I found out I had it, I just kind of do it on my own because I didn't really have anybody to confide into but my parents and a few of my friends and my aunt. When Demiro finally decided to tell me the truth was when we got back together at the end of that year around Christmas time of 2019. He said it all nonchalantly while we was upstairs in the basement of his mama's house, basically. He said it all nonchalantly. And then he proceeded to tell me that he was marrying this girl and they were going to have kids together. I was so lost because he made it seem like this woman that he was marrying was never going to be nothing but a surrogate. And he was so adamant about it being me, him, and Brooklyn, his daughter. So when I first seen on Facebook him posting First Lady something of his church, I was lost as hell because excuse my language, but I felt kind of disrespected and low down. Like, first of all, I had HIV. He was the only source. He told me he had it, and then on top of this, now you getting married to this woman, this girl, whatever, cool. I basically stopped talking to Demiro. I didn't him anymore. I didn't call him. I didn't answer none of his call texts. I got Facebook messages, calls, texts, tweets of him constantly blowing up and pulling up to my stepmom and my dad's house. After the fact that we found out how HIV, trying to talk, trying to communicate with me, when he claiming that when this is the whole time where I'm guessing he's married to this woman, that he's still coming to see me, still trying to come in me and all this other stuff, buying hotel rooms and getting me to come stay the night with him in a hotel room, picking me up. I was 20 years old when I met this man. He turned within a few months of dating him, he turned my life from being okay and stable to going through hell and being sick every other month and having pneumonia.
Okay, now, did you see the look on the wife's face when the homosexual man started talking about that surrogate mess? I mean, can you imagine the kind of liar you have to be to convince people that all of this mess is true? Now, Demiro is having sex with another man, and during that time, he gets another woman pregnant, and he's able to convince his gay lover that the woman is just a surrogate. Lordy have mercy. But let me stay focused because I'm going to play now. This is the last part of what Demiro Johnson's alleged gay lover has to say. So this is be the last piece of this testimony in this case. So let's check this out.
I finally became undetectable at the beginning of 2020 in March. I just basically picked up and left home after that. I did that because every time I would tell somebody about the story or about him, and they would go to his Facebook page and they would say, they'd be like, oh, that can't be true. He's a pastor. He's married. He has this. He has that. And I was like, yeah, that's the part about it. I never knew that this man had a wife. I never knew that this woman that I'm looking at right now was this so-called love of his life because I thought that was me. So to find out that he had them blocked me and got his whole law, that was some weird. That was some weird shit. She told me the first lady, baby, I was the one that was out here suffering before you, and then he left me to go be with you. Baby, I was not about to be over no church, and that was the main issue with him. I don't know what he wanted, but I was never okay with the. No, bitch, no.
This is a man talking, right? Just
this is a man. This is a gay male.
Yes, babe, I'm 25 now. Yeah, he was the last known source. I hadn't had sex with nobody within the year of 2018. And I've been tested. I have been tested twice previously before him. See, this woman that I'm looking at was supposed to be the surrogate of his daughter. That's what I'm lost about. When I first seen the post, my aunt had sent it to me because she knew who he was. My whole family knows who he is. So I got sent the post from multiple people, not just my aunt. So when I seen the post about her daughter, I felt bad, but
around him before he met his baby.
When I tried to contact her,
you was messing with him before he had his kid.
Baby, before he had his kid,
I'm only asking for the HIV. Because his baby mom and his kid have been getting tested since he was born. So we got to make sure we on top of this shit. That's what I'm asking.
Before he had Brooklyn, I was messing with him. When the girl was pregnant with Brooklyn, I was messing with him. Afterwards, when he was trying to make it all better, I was messing with that man.
Wow. So the baby mama was supposed to be the surrogate, or he said I was supposed to be the surrogate?
He said whoever was carrying the child was supposed to be the surrogate, but we were supposed to be an actual family, me and him. That's when I found out about whoever the he was, not being rude. That threw me for a loop. Because that made you number 3, number 4. Number 3, number 4, because I'm number 1, well, second. Because if there was another one before me, I'm number 2. And you mean to tell me that he never said nothing about him ever having HIV, never being tested, nobody ever else thought of it.
Last question. You was him when I was around, like when I was with him? Like recently, like this year?
I have not messed with that. I have not messed with that man since the end of 2020. I have not messed with that man since the end of 2020, baby.
Not having sex, but like he was still trying to talk to you and all that stuff?
Baby, he has tried to communicate with me ever since I've been undetectable at the end of 2020. He has tried to communicate with me. I'm not beat over this man. I'm just letting you know.
I'm just trying to listen. Everything helps me out in court. My whole thing is he told me he was delivered. He didn't mess with me no more. Ever since 2019. So that's why I'm like, well, it don't matter. Like,
let me ask you a question. This is not against any gay.
I'm not hurt. I'm just getting information from.
Do you really think it's okay for a gay man to stand in the church and say that he's delivered, knowing damn well he's going to get ate out, sucked, and everything else? Okay. Do you really think there's any blessing on that church? Do you really think that, baby? Do you really think how far do you think he was going to get in life?
Oh my goodness. Okay, now if y'all don't think this is something else, then I don't know what is. I mean, we have a 15-year-old child, her baby, an unsuspecting wife, and another individual who has to suffer with thoughts of being used and abused by this guy and having to go through constant testing and medical treatment as a result. Okay, I just think it is the most dirty, low-down thing that a person could do, especially in a so-called church. And another thing here now, if you think that that's all of it, you wouldn't believe that he also, let me see if I can find it, is also up on TikTok and Instagram, trying to advertise his services to different churches as if they're gonna have him to come and preach at these churches. And so here he is asking for bookings. And so that was just a few weeks before he got arrested, thank God, at the Atlanta airport. He was still posting on TikTok as if somebody would actually let him come to their church and preach. But as y'all know on here, I just ask and report and I'll let you decide. So, what do you think about this mess? I mean, I've been hearing from some of you throughout this broadcast, but please let me know, because the question that still remains unanswered in my legal investigation of this case is, what is the status of this baby? So, do you think that the investigation of law enforcement officials has determined that Demiro Johnson is the father of the 15-year-old girl's baby? And do you think that Demiro Johnson's soon-to-be ex-wife, the child, and her baby have contracted any diseases, including HIV/AIDS, as a result of being connected to this low-down dirty dog of a man? Please let me know by leaving your comments in the comments section below. And I hope you'll also give me a big thumbs up. And I hope you'll also consider donating to this video and my entire channel ministry by clicking the super thanks heart button if you're watching this in the replay. And before we leave, if you get a chance to click the super chat, it's not too late. And while you're there, I want to also ask that you please subscribe to my YouTube channel and click the bell so you'll be notified whenever I come back with more hot tea drama on this case, because something tells me this won't be the last that we'll hear from this so-called apostle Demiro Johnson. And you want to make sure that you check the videos on my channel, because I'm going to be on the lookout for all pulpit pedophiles and church house child molesters. Have a fantastic evening. Bye.